been lit, boy. Everything goes.
We now return you to regular programming.
All right, guys, welcome back. Today on the phone, we have joining us former fullback John Kuhn. John, how are you doing today?
Man, I'm doing fantastic. It's a beautiful day in Wisconsin. Can't complain. The weather's nice. Got a little golf in this early afternoon, and now I get to jump on with you guys, chat a little football.
That is awesome. How has everything been out there with the COVID and everything?
You know, it's a weird time. Wisconsin, we're a little blessed. We're in our own kind of little bubble out here, although we're not immune to it. We still have our outbreaks, so we're still masking up, taking the proper precautions, keeping safe distances, no large gatherings, stuff like that. But everybody seems to be in good spirits, trying to handle it the best that they can. We know that, we're all in this together, and it takes a full team effort.
That's good, man. What have you been doing with your downtime? I heard you say you're playing golf, but anything else?
Well, I just got a new boat this year, so
Oh, there you go.
Hey.
I got two little girls, so I like to get them out on the water on the weekends if I can, and if the weather cooperates, which it has. It's been a great summer, and then during the week it's just it's playing a little bit of golf, and now that training camp started, it's trying to catch my Packers anytime I can get over there to practice and get a little tidbit on who's shining.
That's awesome to hear.
What do you think so far about the practices? I mean, I just happened to open up the injury report list today, and it seems like the injury bug is hitting everybody. Now, do you think that has to deal with the no off season? I mean, basically there was no real camps yet.
Yeah, I think it definitely plays a part. That 9 weeks, although everybody says it's not what it used to be, those 9 weeks are very important. The 9 weeks from mid-April to mid-June, where teams can come in, work their guys out, find out what kind of shape they're in from the season before, try and build them back up. They usually take it pretty easy then. It's a ramp-up period. And then the guys know, hey, we got 6 weeks off from the end of this off-season program to when training camp starts. That's when the guys can hit it a little bit harder, and you can come back into training camp and kind of pepper them back into where they were when they left previously. This is strange, man. This is strange because training camps have been bumped back. They had a ramp-up period here in training camp, but you can't simulate the 9 weeks that you already missed, and you can't simulate preseason games in practice. So it's going to be a tough task, tough challenge for all these teams to try and navigate. How much do we push these guys so that they're ready to go full bore in the games when game time comes, and yet don't push them so far that we do get the injuries here in training camp.
Yeah. Now, John, how hard? You see how MLB has handled the COVID. You see how NBA, obviously football, you cannot bubble with. I mean, I think it'd be very hard. How tough do you think it is going to be to have a season, and do you even think there will be a season? I mean, a lot of colleges have closed and so on.
Well, I think the NFL has had the luxury of seeing the way that baseball is doing it. And baseball has had a couple hiccups. But if you know, baseball travels a lot more than the NFL does. And when they travel, they stay for longer periods of times in the cities that they're traveling to. Baseball or football's in and out. They come in on a Saturday morning. They leave on a Sunday evening after the game. So they're there one night.
That's true.
And then I've heard there's going to be some teams, especially on the East Coast, like the New York, Philly, Washington area. They're going to travel by day. They're going to take buses down to these games, and they're going to try and do it that way. So I think you can kind of have a bubble in the NFL, albeit not the bubble that you've seen in hockey, not the bubble that you've seen in the MLS, or not the bubble that you've seen in the NBA.
Yeah.
You kind of have a bubble in your own city. It's going to take a lot of responsibility by the players to be responsible on their own.
And that's the key thing is the responsibility of the players.
A lot of the onus is going to be on these players to take ownership and kind of, just mitigate themselves from going out there and getting it. And I think the star players recognize that. I think the star players will lead by example.
Yes.
I think the NFL, is going to be able to learn from Major League Baseball with the kind of outbreaks that they had that you've seen between the St. Louis Cardinals with the Florida Marlins. But even in the Marlins case, they were able to take a couple weeks off, get their guys negative again, keep the guys that were positive away, bring up some guys from their farm system, and come back and play some good baseball.
Now, what do you
think? Go ahead.
What do you think, John? What would happen? Like the Cardinals and the Marlins, they had big outbreaks like that. What would happen? Do you think, like if Kansas City had that and Mahomes went down, or a Tom Brady and 3 of the big stars on that team went down? Do you think they would give them the luxury of making those games up later on down the road?
That I don't know. I don't know how it's going to work if a team doesn't have a player for a certain game, especially a star player. but I think the star players are going to be treated like Ferraris here once the season comes out.
Yeah.
They're going to come out of the garage very rarely. It's going to have to be perfect conditions, and they're going to have to make sure there's nobody or nothing to interfere with their drive when these Ferraris come out of the garages. I see a guy like Patrick Mahomes, a guy like Aaron Rodgers, a guy like Tom Brady. They're not going to let COVID interfere with their title chances, with their success this football season.
Yeah.
Now, what do you think of the Packers this year? There's a lot of rumors that this could be Rodgers' last year, and you know what? I don't understand it. Everyone's saying that he looks like he's getting older. He's washed up. I don't see it. I think he still has a lot of years ahead of him. I think he's a great quarterback, one of the best. You've been around him. What do you think?
Yeah, you listen, anybody who sees him in person will adamantly admit he is not washed up. If he's lost a step, it's just that. It's a step. He hasn't lost a mile per hour on his throw. He has not lost any accuracy. This guy's still top 5 quarterback in the National Football League. I think this chip on his shoulder this year with trying to prove some of the naysayers wrong, possibly trying to prove his own organization wrong with drafting a backup quarterback behind him.
Mm-hmm.
I see him being very motivated this year. I see Aaron Rodgers being very scary to a lot of teams.
Oh my God,
do
yeah.
too.
I'm
I
a
do
Cowboys fan. I'm afraid of him. I mean, he broke our hearts a lot of times.
Yeah, I mean, and that's just the thing with Aaron. He can do that. He can do that at any point in time. Now, the offense is in a state of transition here. Second year under Matt LaFleur, looking to run the ball a lot more. Definitely with the draft pick of A.J. Dillon. Now they have a 3-headed monster in the backfield. So I see versatility being a good friend to Aaron Rodgers. I see a lot of play action passes, and he still has Devontae Adams. I think Aaron's going to have a killer year this year.
Oh, I agree. I agree 100%. And like you said, he has that chip on his shoulder. And my thing is what does he have to prove? I mean, they won 13 games last year. I mean, they had a great season. And then they draft another quarterback, and all of a sudden, like the media spins it like
Trade it up to get a quarterback.
this could be his last year. I don't.
Well, there was many years for Aaron Rodgers where he had a top 10 offense and not a top 10 defense, and the team had underperformed, whether that was a 10-6 record and an early exit from the playoffs, or whether that was the last 2 years under Mike McCarthy when they were riddled by injuries and did not make the playoffs. Those kind of go against the quarterback. Those go against the guys who sign these big contracts. But quite frankly, if you really watch the game, if you see the game, it's not because of Aaron Rodgers. I think only people close to the game, really people that play him, probably some of the teams in the division, they really understand what Aaron can do. And it's still a very dangerous man in a very dangerous position.
Absolutely. Now, John, you were a great fullback in this league. I just got to say that real quick.
Thank you.
But in the NFL, why do you think we're seeing less fullbacks in this game? Do you think the game is just developing into more of a passing league where you're not really seeing a lot of heavy runners?
I think there's only 14 fullbacks right now that have multi-year contracts in the NFL.
Yeah, there's a couple things at play there. Number one, I do think that the rules of the NFL protecting the wide receivers, protecting the quarterbacks do lean towards throwing the football more and take away a little bit from what the value that the fullback has as a lead blocker. The second thing is I wouldn't necessarily say the multi-year thing is a big deal for the fullbacks because fullbacks in general haven't had big contracts, haven't had long contracts. I played 10 one-year contracts out over my 13 years in the NFL.
Wow.
So I don't look at multi-contract or multi-year contracts as being a big definition for who's in on the fullback. I just think teams try and find one that's good. If you find one that's really good, then yeah, you got to lock them down like a juice check or somebody like that. You definitely have to lock down. Aside from that, teams feel like they can have a plug-and-play guy. They can use a tight end. They can use an H-back type, and some teams have flirted with that. In the end, though, I think you look at some of the teams that run the ball very well. You look at the Patriots the last few years with Pat Devlin. You look at Kansas City, even with Sherman out there. And then, once again, I got to go back to the 49ers because their run offense is incredible. What they do with Juszczyk is great. I see it making a comeback, not back to the glory days where you had Allstott, Lorenzo Neal, and all those guys leading the way, but I think it's going to make a comeback to where the fullback is still a viable option in a lot of teams.
Well, you know what? The two teams that used the fullbacks the most last year was New England and the 49ers, and they were undefeated for like the first 6-7 weeks.
Yeah.
But to me, it's a very important position because you guys not only protect the quarterback, you open up holes, and plus you go out and you make big plays down the field.
Well, the fullback as the position is kind of transitioned. the player has had to transition. So if you look at a Juszczyk or you look at some of these other guys, they're not the big battering ram type fullbacks that you've seen in the past. Some of the best fullbacks around the league right now are guys that are versatile, can catch balls out of the backfield, can play third down back, can play special teams. They can do a whole wide variety of things. That's the kind of fullback that's going to make a comeback in the NFL.
Wow. Now, was that ever scary playing? You said 10 one-year contracts. Is that ever a scary thing almost every year thinking, I got to give this my all, I might not get another contract? I mean, you should always play with that mentality, but...
Are you kidding me? You talk about it. You should play with that mentality. As a fullback, you have to play with that mentality. I look back and I guess I'm thankful that I had 10 one-year contracts because it kept me each year on the brink of extinction. So I had to come out and do something special just in order to get that next contract.
Yeah.
John, what was it like having a whole stadium yell your last name?
It was pretty cool. I can't imagine there's a whole lot of fullbacks when they're done, when it's all said and done, can say that they were a fan favorite. But the Packer fans were great, and they traveled very well, and they supported me tremendously. I'm super thankful for it.
Now I'm a big Saints fan, so I got to watch you for a little bit there. But I mean, you think about the quarterbacks that you personally got to play under: Drew Brees, Aaron Rodgers. You know, you hear about you hear about the work ethic that these guys put in. I mean, as a player, did you truly see that on the field? How hard they work day in out?
Yeah, absolutely. And they're all a little bit different. You know, you talk about Big Ben, and he kind of relied on his size and being able to ad-lib the play early on in his career, especially when I played with him. And then Brett Favre, I mean, he was just a gunslinger. He could just throw it all around, and he knew the game at that point in time when I played with him better than anybody else. So he would make checks and keys that nobody was ready for, and he'd make the most daring throws that anybody could imagine. Aaron Rodgers, to me, he's just the truest assassin. He can throw any pass in the NFL, but he's so meticulous with the ball. He's so careful with the ball. He doesn't ever turn it over, and that to me is what separates him from some of these other guys. You've seen Patrick Mahomes do it a little bit the last few years. The ability to throw a lot of touchdowns, make a lot of big plays, but not make negative plays, and that always keeps their teams in the ballgame. And then Drew Brees, nobody ever in my life have I seen anybody prepare like Drew Brees. The way he mentally gets ready for a football game, the way he physically gets ready for a football game, it's a real good treat to get to watch him go through the course of the week and prepare day in and day out, because he is in his 40s now. Now, Aaron, when he reaches his 40s, which isn't too far away, I assume he's going to do the same thing. I've already seen him kind of change his diet, kind of change his physical routine with a lot of yoga and a lot of different Pilates, different strength trainings that are specific to the position of playing quarterback. So I expect him to play for quite some time.
That's awesome.
Now you played, you just said Favre and then Aaron Rodgers. How was it, you had to block for them when they had a broken play where they scrambled around a lot? Is there some kind of a thing, a key word, something somebody yells that that the play's still going on?
Well, in Green Bay, the 9 years that I was there, we have always worked over, it's called scramble rules. So when the quarterback breaks the pocket, when a play breaks down, everybody has a certain set of rules on how to go about the route, how to change their route, and how to move about their route. And because we practiced it so much in practice, when you got into a game, it was no thing. Everybody knew exactly where to go, how to keep spacing from one another, because you watch some of these other teams, you can tell they don't do it. You can tell they don't practice it. So when a play breaks down, you watch two receivers run into the same space. That brings multiple cornerbacks, multiple defensive backs into the same space, and it wrecks the ability for the quarterback to be able to make the throw. In Green Bay, that wasn't the case. They've always had some really good receivers there with two super talented quarterbacks. So, I mean, it's kind of like shooting fish in a barrel. It was easy.
Now, John, I appreciate the information you're giving us, by the way. You're just spitting us with facts right now. It's amazing, an educational learning period here for us. Since you played in the NFL, you have The Rock who puts in money into the XFL. We've asked a lot of people this question. Do you think it's a good idea to have a league like the XFL, especially with college right now and the coronavirus, and they might not even play? It's almost like a minor league filter for the NFL.
Yeah, I do. I think it's important. I think it could work. I don't think it's going to be anything to the level of what they've tried to make it be with the AAF and the previous XFLs. I don't think it's a nationally televised game, just like AAA baseball and the D League basketball. They're not nationally televised games.
Good example.
The problem is with football, guys put themselves at such risk physically that they demand higher salaries to make it worthwhile to play. Well, if you're going to demand those higher salaries, people need to sell it to TV so they can get the revenue to be able to pay these players. There is a really fine line for what you're able to accomplish at kind of a minor league football level, and I'm just not sure they've mastered that yet. Can they? Should they? Yes. Have they been able to do it? Not sustainably.
Because the thing that's going to hurt is like they're saying everyone they want to go to spring football, but if you're a Trevor Lawrence or you're someone that's going to probably go drafted in the first 2 rounds, you're risking injury before the draft. So there's going to probably be a lot of guys that not going to play. They're just going to sit out.
My problems with spring football is just this: if you're projected to be a top 4 round draft pick, you're going to sit out, right? You're not going to do it. You're going to train for the draft, and you're probably already starting training because you're not going to play a football season this year. So why not start now? If you're a guy like who is that in Ohio State? His name's slipping me right now.
Oh, Justin Fields.
Justin Fields. If you're Justin Fields, you should leave to go be with the best quarterback coach that you can find right now and take 6 months of training before you have a pro day or a combine come February.
Yeah,
that's what the first 4 rounds guys are going to do. The guys who are projected to be back end guys, they're seniors already anyways. So they're not going to play their senior year in the spring and risk injury right before the draft and stuff like that. So they're going to train too. And then you talk about underclassmen that have a chance to play football at the next level. Now you're asking them to possibly play upwards of 20 games in one calendar season, the 2021 season. I don't see that as being responsible. I don't see that as being safe for those players. I don't see how you can possibly ask them to do that. To me, spring football is not going to work at this point in time.
I don't believe so either.
Well, Kurt Herbstreit was on Pat McAfee today, and he said that these other divisions, it's just a matter of time before they end up canceling as well. I guess Clemson had like 40 total cases of coronavirus. Alabama opened up their school, I guess this week, and they said there's a boatload of kids that are walking around no masks on. They're expecting the numbers to go back up again on these campuses to the point where they're going to probably end up closing them down again.
Yeah, but if they close the school down, do they have to close down the athletic department? If you look at North Carolina,
That's true.
Just yesterday they said they are not going to have in-person, face-to-face classes, but they're still going to allow athletics. A lot of people were in uproar about that. They think, that's putting athletics above the scholar students. But to me, that's not the case. You have a lot more kids walking around campus not getting tested, not being safe. These kids in these top-notch Division I programs, they're being watched carefully, they're being monitored carefully, they're getting multiple tests a week, and they have the ability to stay safe, stay in a little bit of a bubble. So I see a lot more colleges possibly following the route of North Carolina as we move forward.
That's true. I didn't even think about it like that. That's a good point.
Now, you played in Green Bay. What is it like playing in Green Bay in December?
Oh, man.
Well, it's very, very cold. Now, here's the catch. It's very cold, but when the fans come in, they warm the stadium up quite a bit. This year is going to be the coldest year anybody's ever played at Lambeau Field because there's going to be no fans in there to warm the stadium up. Players are going to have to keep themselves warm. The only thing to warm them up are the little heaters on the sideline. It's not going to be enough. Lambeau Field is going to be frigid this year.
Now, what did you prefer playing on? Grass, turf? I mean, because if you look at what's going on now, you see a lot of these guys that are getting injured playing on turf.
A lot of studies going into that too.
You played on both, so what did you prefer?
Yeah, I'm a grass guy. Put me on the grass. I want to get tackled on the grass. I mean, I grew up playing football on the grass in the backyard, tackle football, no pads on, just me, my cousins, my friends. That's the way football was meant to be played. I firmly believe, and I think the studies kind of contradict this, but I do think that when you play on grass, it's safer. It just feels better too. I mean, Again, the studies are what they are. I don't think it points either way. I mean, you can get an injury. I remember Jordy tore his ACL on the natural grass of Pittsburgh in a preseason game on a non-contact play. So injuries happen anywhere. However, just give me grass. It makes football. That's what makes it.
Absolutely.
Now, the best facility you've ever played in and the worst facility you've ever played in?
Oh, it's tough. New stadiums like Minnesota's new stadium, Atlanta's new stadium, those stadiums are fantastic. They do a tremendous job. The best environment is New Orleans by far. New Orleans, especially when they're rocking, they got 80,000 fans. They turn the lights off before the game. They come out, you got flamethrowers, you got people just going nuts. Nobody knows how to party like the Big Easy, baby. It's probably the coolest atmosphere ever. Now, the worst stadium ever to play in Oh, that's easy. That's the old Metrodome. That. There's a reason why Minnesota needed a new stadium. That place was a dump. It was the locker rooms were awful. The field was awful. You couldn't hear the fans. I think they pumped fake crowd noise into that. That was a terrible place to
Oh
play.
wow, look at that inside scoop. Now, John, one of my last questions here for you is, as a fullback, typically you guys are built pretty big, but what's it like trying to go out there and block like an Aaron Donald, a Cam Jordan, a Von Miller who's almost 300 pounds, 6'4", and you got to go up head first against somebody like that?
Yeah, well, that's where the scheme comes into play, right? Because we're not meant to block them every single play. We do have to block them sometimes. I mean, more times than not, we're on an inside linebacker or a strong safety, somebody that's of the same body type as us, and we have a much better chance. Now, you talk about when we do have to block those guys on an edge or sometimes up the middle. That's because the blocking scheme is designed for like a 3-step drop, or it's designed as a misdirection, or it's designed as a wham block. You kind of catch a 3 technique offside. So the scheme of the play, and you hope the linemen don't give it away, which a lot of times they do with their stance, but the scheme of the play is what allows you to be able to block those guys.
Dang.
Now, John, when you were with the Packers, you played in a great division. It seemed like everybody you played in that division is a rivalry division. Minnesota, the Bears. What was your team that you always circled and said, I can't wait to play this team? Because it was like one of those games. It was like the Eagles-Cowboys, kind of a big rivalry.
Well, you said it. The time I was in Green Bay, it was really the Bears either game, the Vikings either game, the Lions only in Detroit because we never lost to them at home. But then I would always circle the 49ers, those great matchups with that defense with Patrick Willis, Navarro Bowman. I'd always circle the matchups with the Seahawks with that great defense out there with Bobby Wagner, Earl Thomas, and the Legion of Boom.
Yeah.
Those were always the games that we were looking forward to play because those cross conference, the in-division rivals, that's never going to change. If one team's having a down year, the other team's having an up year, they're always going to be hyped. The big ones we wanted were the ones versus ones. We wanted the big time teams cross conference so that we could really see what we had.
Yeah.
Now, when you sign up with a team like the Packers, I mean, do you automatically jump into that mindset that hate the Bears?
No, I mean that's something that you learn over time. The Packers did a good job though, and our coaching staff did a good job of letting everybody know what that rivalry meant when we got there. I mean, you don't know what it is. I mean, heck, I grew up on the East Coast. I knew nothing about the Midwest. I didn't even know really where Green Bay was. I knew it was in Wisconsin. Didn't really know Green Bay was an actual bay until I got here. So
Yeah, because you went to
you learn a lot.
you went to Shippensburg, right? Because we're right out here. What?
We're not far from Shippensburg,
No, we live in. It's called Whitehall.
Whitehall, Pennsylvania.
But we're like we're not too far at all from it. So I thought that was pretty cool hearing that you went to Shippensburg.
Yeah, I don't know where Whitehall is, but yeah, so I mean, Shippensburg, it's probably no different than Whitehall. The only people in that town are the people that go to the school there.
Yeah.
So when I get out here to the Midwest, I know nothing about the Packers. I knew nothing about the NFC North. So you learn it very fast, though, and you learn it by playing the games, and you learn it by the passion of your teammates.
Now, I have two more quick questions for you, John. One is, what was the experience like going to the Super Bowl? You've done it twice. And what's Mike McCarthy going to bring to the Cowboys?
Well, I think first and foremost, the Super Bowl is everything it's made up to be and then more. You talk about you spend a whole week at the game and it goes by faster than just a normal game weekend. It flies by. You're locked in. The practices are crisp and you're meeting all times. And when you're not doing that, you got media obligations. So it's one of the coolest experiences I've ever been through. And quite frankly, other than having my kids and getting married to my wife, those are the two biggest days of my life.
Yeah.
What is Mike McCarthy going to bring? I think he's going to bring a lot of experience, like a lot of winning experience. He understands what it takes to win the big game, meaning he understands that you don't win a game on Sunday. Sunday's just for fun. You win a game Monday through Saturday in your preparation and how you get ready for these teams. He's seen what preparation it takes to get to the big game and to win the big game. I think that's something Dallas has lacked for a long time. Everybody knows they're super talented, very talented football team, especially on the offensive side. Can he give them that edge? Can he take them over the hump? I think he can. I think they're going to be a tough team this year.
I think so too.
Well, you're still involved with the NFL. I mean, you still have a lot of connections, and there's been a lot of moves this year. Who's your favorite on the NFC side of the coin this year?
Well, it's tough. As you look at the NFC side, I look at the NFC South, and I think the Saints are still there, but the Bucs. Does Tom Brady still have it? is last year kind of a blip year for him? Is he going to come back better than ever? Because if so, then Tampa's right in the mix. You look out west there, and I still like San Francisco, and I still like Seattle with Russell Wilson.
Oh, yeah.
You look at the east, I like the Dallas Cowboys. You look at the north, I like the Green Bay Packers. I mean, those are my 6 teams. 7 get into the playoffs, so go ahead and say Minnesota gets in. Go ahead and say the Rams get in, or go ahead and say the Eagles get in. But it doesn't really matter. I mean, it's a 6-team race. I don't care what anybody says. You can say the 49ers have an edge. I just don't. I don't believe so. If you think about it, they were 1 yard away from being a 5 seed last year. If they're 5 seed, I don't think they make the Super Bowl.
My hot take was actually I think Arizona's going to win that division over there.
Oh, with all the weapons they got this year.
That's a super hot take.
All right, John, we want to say thank you so much for
very
just
much.
joining us tonight and just giving us a very educational podcast today.
No problem. Thanks, guys.
Hey, we hope you stay safe, man. That was John Kuhn, 3 times Pro Bowl, 2 times Super Bowl winner. Let's try to say that 5 times fast. That was a mouthful, but that was amazing. That was good. He was very specific with the things that he talked about. It was very intriguing.
It's cool that, even though that you're retired, you still have connections with the football. He can go up to Green Bay probably anytime he wants and just walk right in there.
Oh, yeah. You could tell he's still a huge Green Bay fan because that's all he wanted to talk about. It was pretty cool, though.
Yeah, but you know what? He's played with some of the best quarterbacks ever. Roethlisberger, Favre, Rodgers, and Breeze. I mean, all Hall of Famers future. So,
everybody that we've had on, Rob Ryan, him, just I talk about Drew Brees, man. It's just always good news.
I know it makes your day, but that's why I threw in what would the Mike McCarthy do for the Cowboys.
That was cool too.
I think Mike McCarthy, what he's gonna bring. I mean, you see, there's a lot of changes already down there. I mean, for one, you have Dak Prescott and all the quarterbacks in red jerseys. They never wore red jerseys before, and I just think that Super Bowl champ's coming 2020. Yeah, that had to be awesome. That had to be awesome.
Especially if you got like a handoff and got a first hour touchdown.
Yeah, he was very athletic. Great.
I think he had 19 touchdowns and like 9 receiving touchdowns. I had the stats up. I just put it away. Yeah. It was pretty cool.
Well, that's all I got for tonight. Flyers won again.
We'll get this up. We'll get this up really fast for you guys. Check it out. We are getting a lot of followers right now on Instagram, Twitter. We hit 1,000 people, baby.
Yes,
Let's go.
Yes, we did.
We're thankful for everybody who's been supporting. We love you guys. Continue to share the love. This will be up on all platforms, and we hope you guys stay safe and enjoy the rest of your week.
Peace.